Knock. Knock. Who's there?
Hey, Ali.
Hello, Andrew.
It must be another episode of the Festival podcast.
It's got to be, because you're here and I'm here and it's a podcast.
It's our monthly chat to amazing people from the world of improv, musicals and comedy. And here we are on location at the Edinburgh Festival.
Yeah, I mean, it's Buzzy McBuzzerson up here.
And we're currently standing in the middle of the Pleasance courtyard looking like two douchebags recording a podcast.
When we are exactly that.
Yeah, that's very much what we are.
It is packed. The Pleasance is thronging with keen audience members, young and old, and the yellow Pleasance artwork is surrounding us, and it looks beautiful, as always.
And you and I are about to go on a little date to a show, aren't we?
Yeah, we're going to go and watch Hold On to Your Butts.
The Jurassic Park, I don't know quite how they describe it. It's a Jurassic Park sort of Foley show.
Foley show, yeah, exactly. Both of us being big fans of all movies really from the 90s.
Absolutely.
And we've seen some cracking musicals up here as well. Look out for a show called Good Luck Catherine Frost.
Absolutely.
From our good friends in Norway who play in the Improvathon with us. Truly wonderful.
Absolutely amazing.
They are doing an international tour, which is excellent.
We've had some pretty fun showstopper shows up here at the festival as well.
So brilliant. The donut shop was a personal favourite of
lovely.
mine, called Donut Give Up on Me. So that was fantastic.
We also had one of my favourite settings was a family-run oil rig.
Yes, blood is thicker than oil.
Blood is thicker than oil.
That was
There you
very
go.
moving, that show.
You and I were we've been married a lot this festival.
We have actually, haven't we?
Yeah.
It was so funny the other day. A guy saw me, he'd come back twice. He'd come back once, so he'd been twice.
I'm so confused, but keep on.
There was a man who came to see the show 2 times, and on the second time he came out and he said, "You were pregnant again tonight." I was like, "Oh yeah." I've only done, I swear to everyone listening, I have only done 2 shows pregnant here.
Yeah.
Just so happened they were the 2 he saw.
There you go. On our show, we like to chat to amazing people from the world of improv, musicals and comedy. This month, we're chatting to someone who is in the worlds of musicals, improv and comedy.
The whole remit.
Yeah.
This guy is spinning plates and he's spinning them brilliantly.
Rufus Hound, we had a chat to in July backstage at the West End.
Yeah.
He's a man of passion, isn't he?
Oh, he certainly is, yeah.
He is someone who is so dedicated to his craft, and you really hear like how passionate, how emotional he gets when really discussing like the intricacies of making comedy.
Yeah, he's a comedy technician and he spent years, like you say, studying his craft. It's quite remarkable what he knows about comedy.
Duncan Walsh-Atkins joined us on keys. That's about all we have to say, isn't it?
Yeah, I hope you enjoy the episode. Well, we hope you enjoy the episode. From these 2 losers.
Enjoy! Welcome, Rufus Hound.
It's me.
It's
Hello,
you.
Rufus. There you
Please
are.
keep the applause down.
You're sitting there in your chair and you're a visceral being.
I am. This is literally happening.
Amazing. Last time we saw you, you were knee deep in the 50-hour improvathon.
Yes. I'm freshly engaged.
Let's get straight to this.
Why
then.
not?
You
Everything else is just fluff, isn't it?
yeah. You proposed to your fiancée
Yeah.
at the climax of the London 50-hour improvathon.
I did.
What happened? What was it like?
Well, there's some backstory to it, which is Sally and I had talked about getting married quite a lot, and in the week prior to the improvathon had been on holiday having this amazingly romantic time, and that included my birthday, on which Sally organised a sort of beachside private dining thing. There's log fires, and it just couldn't be. If you were ever going to propose to anybody, that was the moment to do it. And in my head, I'm thinking, no, it's I've still got some paperwork on my divorce, until everything's done. No. And so, fresh on the endorphins of this amazing holiday, we plough into what is a bizarre thing to be doing at the best of time. Even with a week's preparation, let alone sitting on a beach somewhere, in what felt like a parallel universe by the time we arrived at Wilton's Music Hall. And Sally Hodgkiss is a very accomplished and rightly appreciated, brilliant improviser. And when we started dating, she said, "You used to do some improv, didn't you?" And that was true. There was, before there was the boom that then began, there were a couple of Irish improvisers, Tara Flynn and Brendan Dempsey, who had been doing improv in Ireland, and they wanted to start something in London. They created this thing, the London Comedy Improv. So there was those two and me and Ewan McIntosh from The Office, Michael Legg, John Vose, I'm sure familiar to members of the parish, and Kirsty Newton. I'm now, of course, panicking about who haven't I mentioned, who's obviously going to be listening to this. He goes, I think you're fine, but my memory isn't great, and it was 15 years ago.
Fair enough.
But it was enough that she said, well, look, I'm doing some shows, as a guest. I will tell the bookers of these shows that if they want, you'll come too, and then we can play together. I was like, sounds fun. And so slowly over the last couple of years, Sally and I have done these sort of odd improv things. And basically what happens is I stand there, she looks at me with love in her eyes, and I feel like she's looking at me like a caring parent watching a child fail, but lovingly. No, it's good. No, honestly, it's really good. No, you should be very proud of yourself. It's very, very good improvising. So that's largely my experience, is that I get excited about doing it. The shows are fun in principle, and then I arrive and do them and leave full of recrimination and self-hatred and increased admiration for the skills of Sally Hodgkiss. But then being asked to do the improvathon, I was like, yeah, sure, whatever, sounds suitably stupid. I've done several of Mark Watson's long-form shows.
Yeah, great.
And so an improvathon, I was like, yeah, bread and butter, easy peasy. So we arrived. The thing is, literally we got off the plane, went home, had a shower, packed a bag, and came to Wilton's.
Oh my God, really?
It was it was that much of a rapid turnaround. As long as we were in, was Sally packing all of the outfits that she thought she could go mad on wearing.
They were incredible outfits.
Absolutely unbelievable,
That
right?
was a good choice.
I mean, unreal. But for those listening, and I can't imagine anyone listening wasn't at the improvathon, the theme was weddings and marriage, and people turn up with a kind of a character that is loosely agreed that will fit somewhere in the story, but as you arrive, things may have changed, and so you get told, actually, none of that will work. Do you want to do something else? So Sally turned up with the idea of having watched Saltburn and all the amazing outfits that Lady Saltburn, I forget,
Rosamund Pike
wears. She was like, shall I just try and rustle together as many kind of outrageous posh women outfits? And, you saw what happened. It just got more and more kind of carnivalesque as the thing went through. She was nearly naked by the end of it, which I can only approve of, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, we literally ran in, started going. And then, of course, the performance pressure and the thing of the audience watching. Now, I didn't mind this so much because we didn't start till the sort of second night.
Yeah.
So it felt like, great, I'm actually doing the kind of hero's yards here. I get to turn up at 9. I will just do until I fall over, which I think would probably be about 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. If I can just get through, that's the bit no one's even awake for. So I'll have just been part of the team that kept it going. You know what I mean? I'm a good egg. What I'm lacking in improvisational skills, I'm making up for in team spirit. So that was loosely what happened. Sally'd made the full commitment to go and do the whole thing. She would have done the whole 50 hours had we not literally had these flights, and booked a holiday. So I did the kind of overnight shift, felt fairly scratchy about a lot of it, realised I hadn't quite understood the brief. It's a bit of an odd beast, isn't it?
Oh,
and, it's you've got to know who's who and how the game's being played and whatever. So having just about scraped through it, I kind of got off and thought, oh, lovely. And I went and had a cup of tea and I went outside and got some fresh air. And I thought, well, this is great now. I will sit at the very back of the hall. And, if I happen to nod off that, as long as I don't start snoring, that won't be. But I can watch Sally kind of romp through to the end. Well, I watched the next 2 blocks. And by the halfway through this, I was like, let me back in, Chief. What am I doing? It was like, loving playing football, and then being called to the first team and going, no, actually, I just want to sit in the stands. And like, after 10 minutes, you're like, no, duh.
Yeah.
No, I arrived around that point. So I arrived about 9 a.m.
Right, yeah.
Presumably around when you had your break.
That was it. Yeah, it was the 9 o'clock, and I think the 11 o'clock was the kids' hour.
Yes.
And I just thought the kids' hour was the best, honestly, one of the best hour and 50 minutes of anything I think I've ever seen. Call it the delirium, call it the sleep deprivation or whatever, but there was something about watching a group of performers spending that long conceiving of a universe that loosely held together, who are then all complicit with the audience in making a kind of parallel universe version of it that can be shown on CBBC. And that, Ronnie Barker, one of the finest comedy writers this country's ever produced, was always funnier on Tea Time BBC than he ever was on his own projects. And it was thought, well, he said himself, it was the restrictions that make you funny. Is when you're pulling against the leash and you've got to find clever ways around. Yeah. That's when it gets good. Whereas when he was given carte blanche, it was all basically Seaside Postcard stuff. It was all, groping boobs and all, and Mr. Magoo tripping over into hordes of page 3 models. It was all rather grubby and unpleasant.
There's something about improvising for children. It makes you work harder because you realise how hard children are to impress, particularly if you're coming with that attitude of, look how clever am I, making things up. And of course, children make stuff up all the time, so they're not impressed. So when you're improvising, they really make you work hard.
I used to work at the Science Museum teaching or doing science shows for kids.
I've taken my kids to those.
So, I've done stuff for CBeebies and CBBC and, a fair bit of that. There was a director that I worked for who told me that the smartest man he knew, a guy, real kind of Mensa, high-level, ultra-rare stuff, ended up doing philosophy at university, because of course they did, and came out at the end of it largely unemployable. And at the end, set his great mind to the task of, right, well, I've got one life. What is the most useful thing I could do? Like, theoretically, I'm smart enough that I could do anything. So what is the thing of value? And you know what he did? He became a secondary school teacher.
Yeah.
There is something about trying to reach minds that haven't yet landed on all of the most awful versions of things being true, where the thing you realise is the world is selling you a lie most of the time. And that would be okay if the lie had more hope in it.
Yeah.
But I think by this point, it's where's the hope, where's the joy? And it feels to me that the spate of problems that young people have with mental illness, and I think just people increasingly with mental illness, is the absolute sheer disconnect between what we understand to be true and what we're being asked to do.
Yeah.
The planet's on fire, keep calm and carry on. No, those bits of advice are incongruous. It's a very British idea. But actually, when something's on fire, you don't keep calm and carry on. You actually raise the alarm and do something about it. I've listened to Jacob Collier recently, who I think is an absolute... I mean, that's another kind of stone-cold genius.
Yeah.
And he was giving this interview, he was talking about love and hope, and I've heard him in his concerts. I've been to see him a couple of times, and it can all get a little bit. There he is in his rainbow flowing trousers and his bare feet. He's talking about love and hope and all of these things, and music can change the world. And I'm 45, there was a point in my life where I could hear that and it used to make something in me sparkle, but now there's a part of me that thinks, yes, young love's dream. So I've heard him say all of that stuff and slightly discounted it. And then in an interview recently, he said, because the planet's dying and human life's nearly over. And I just think that young people... And the moment he said that, it reframed everything he'd said previously. I was like, oh, right, you're not in a complete realm of fantasy. What you're doing is offering a different version of reality that doesn't feel as chilling as the one that we often feel like we're in. Oh, okay. It's a willingly conceived place to live. And I think, funny enough, music offers that. Musical theatre offers that. It's a warm pat on the back, right? It's a cold flannel on the brow. It's something that, on a deep level, lets us think, well, if these people can get together to sing those tunes and learn those routines, no disrespect to the showstoppers, I'm talking about people who've learnt songs.
Those people.
The lesser actors who have to meet beforehand and actually, What? But you sort of think if all of these people can get together to bring this about, regardless almost of the story, the fact that can exist shows that there must be some hope for us.
Yeah.
All
I can say is that there's a lot of responsibility resting on tonight's show now. That's the level we need to operate at.
It's
bringing
like
joy for the future of mankind.
Yeah, the pressure of being Neil Armstrong coming down the ladder is with us right now.
Yeah. Well, it saves having to learn dance routines. This is all you've got to do is one small step.
Exactly. Oh, come on. And that's why he's in the chair. But talking of like bringing, light to the world through theatre. So another thing that you and Sally have been doing is panto together, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, we did. That was the first. First job we did was that I had, after the pandemic, before the pandemic, I looked in my diary, and as a theatre actor, I had different projects in that took me for 18 months.
Wow.
Imagine that. Unheard of.
That's like doing your tax return in October.
I know,
That's amazing.
And then the pandemic came, and obviously everything after that was just,
Yeah.
So the question obviously gets asked now, what do you do to earn a buck? And I'd really thought I had it cracked. I'd got this like kind of career flexibility where I'd done a bit of radio, I'd done a bit of TV, and all of those things I could just about keep on the bubble enough that if one went a bit quiet, you could reach in. But literally every single thing I've ever done to earn a pound note just disappeared. So what do you do? And I all at once, I split from my wife. The pandemic came. I turned 42 or whatever, like classic midlife, everything. And so I had nowhere to live. Everything I do to earn a living's going, the savings are depleting, the works. And I'd worked on a show the year prior with a trapeze artist who talked to me about working at a circus. And I went, it's a bit of a closed shop, all of that. She was like, not really. You can just apply for a job at a circus. I was like, what?
Wow.
So cut to like this other period where I'd done a couple of plays by this point as things were coming back, and they were terrible. And they just absolutely broke my heart. Theatre for me is an investment of soul. And what I've worked out is the only way I can do it is in rehearsal, build a little room in my soul where another person lives. And then when I turn up at night, that person takes over, does what they need to do, and then I go back to being me, right?
Ah, wow.
And that sounds a lot more schizophrenic than it really is. I'm not in the wing, not answering to Rufus, It's not that. But it's that to be there night after night and to drive a story, to really be on it, you're accessing a part of you that isn't you, and that doesn't exist at the start of the job. If you've never read Hamlet, you don't have an internal Hamlet. Yeah. You build one, and then you go and play Hamlet, and then you go and show people, hey, here's what it looks like when my Hamlet does this show. So when theatre's bad, it freaking kills me. Mm-hmm. I mean, it kills me. Because night after night after night, and I think it's partly the neurodivergence, the ADHD doesn't help, but I'm not entirely sure people who aren't drawn to this line of work aren't all a bit this way anyway, so I don't know that it is an unusual factor when talking about performers, neurodivergence, but honestly, to stand there night after night after night and hear the feed not go for the punch to land kills me. Night after night I stand there and wince, and then I have to remember that people are watching and I can't wince, so I have to literally consciously hear the line and stand there and think, keep your eyes open and keep your face still, because everything in me understands this job to be rhythm, pace, timing, ba-ba-ba-de-bap, ba-ba-ba-de-bap. The thing about doing comedy, it's not the same as being funny, right? Being funny is a state of being. Doing comedy is an action action. We are trying to make you laugh.
Yeah.
Right? We're doing it to you. And by the way, it's consensual because you've paid money, right?
Yeah.
You've sat there and you said, I want you to do this thing to me. And our job is to come on and do the thing to you. But that only works if we're actually doing the thing to you.
Yeah.
It doesn't work if we're just being funny. We've got to do the thing.
Yeah.
And the failure to understand that interplay and that relationship. Bubbity-bup, bubbity-bup, bup-bup-bup-bup. The best version of it that I can come up with is this, that I've explained to people over and over. Because I do feel I've got to this point in my life now where I've gone a bit mad with it. Like, like I can feel the nervous tics creeping in and, you know, the skin's starting to itch. But knock. Who's there? Scooby. Scooby who? Scooby, you just said it. Now, you all stayed silent and kept looking at me as I said that, even though it was absolute nonsense. We can all agree it was interesting. I was able to perform it in a way where none of you felt obliged to interrupt. You know, I kept it alive. It had something in it, right? But if I don't know that it's meant to go, knock, knock, who's there? Scooby, Scooby-Doo, you just said it, then I've missed the point of what it is.
Yeah.
Now, whether you think what it is good or not, make that a separate issue. But that is what it is. If you don't know that it's knock, knock, who's there, but, bit, but, that's the rhythm of those jokes, you're just not serving what it is.
Yeah.
And my problem is that I feel like I now operate in a space where the idea of comedy being a specific craft that you do is given way to people wanting comedy to be a thing that is like, oh God, what a clever reflection on the business of being. And that's not comedy. Like, there is a version of comedy, like when Americans list the best comedy films, and they're never that funny. It's that version of comedy. It's the sort of wistful, middle-aged, going to the theatre, yes, well, of course, everything's pointless. Oh, good, there's another play that confirms it. Ugh! You know, like, it's just... Where's the bang? Where's the push? Where's the... And I'm not saying everything needs to be one man, two governors. Not everything needs to be mischief theatre. But the drive into a thing, the joy in the doing, I don't know how many comedies I can watch where people are busy being someone rather than making me laugh, doing it for me.
Yeah.
And it just seems to me to be this thing where everyone's trying to be classier than comedy. And it's so disrespectful because that's my craft. That's everything I love. Everything I've ever done has been comedy. When I was a kid, I was in the garden doing Muppet Show songs and routines. When I was at school, I wrote the school plays and put as many jokes in them as I could. Like, everything in me has been striving to do some version of this all of my life. And I watch people who can't do it stand there and go, do you know, it'd be good if I stood there and looked wistfully as I said that. No, it wouldn't! Take a big breath, and just as that person finishes what they're saying, start your line and go up at the end of it. Give it as a gift to the person you're on stage with.
Yeah.
Oh.
You just finished doing Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum.
Yeah.
I can't think of a more like classic, old school, like technical piece of comedy craft.
I mean, that is it entirely. The issue was that it was reinvented and redesigned.
Oh, really?
And that it broke my heart.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because the funny thing is that we think, oh, awful sex comedy from the 60s. They were aware of that in the 60s.
Yeah.
It literally opens with a speech where he says, you know, look, you can have all the tragedy you want. We are doing comedy tonight, which isn't to say that the themes in this thing are untroubling. It's to say we are choosing to make light of them as a way through the dark.
Yeah.
It's literally the whole opening number. He sings the words comedy tonight 3,000 times. Tragedy tomorrow, comedy tonight.
Yeah.
Like, he's telling you, yes, this is awful. Now let's have a laugh at it. So the choice was made in the show that this bawdy comedy might benefit from more sort of back scene hijinks to sort of spoof that it's a 60s sex comedy. But ultimately, for my money, once we actually got into the weeds of it, you realise there isn't an ounce of fat on this thing.
Yeah.
It's pretty much perfect. As long as you do enough to get people on board with the fact that, yes, the text of this is awful. It's based on things from 2,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I had my most woke mates come to see it. Imagine, like, fully braced for, well, you know, you get away with this in Paris, but I'm not sure anyway. You know.
Yeah.
And afterwards was like, so really braced, and they were like, loved it. You know, like, really funny.
Yeah.
You're like, but what about the what? Oh no, slavery awful. Yeah, but what? Like, you park that very quickly. And so I think that ultimately the issue was that there was a guy originally cast to play Pseudolus. And the longer we went through the production, Pseudolus is one of those parts where it really is you at the beginning and you at the end.
Yeah.
Like, it's all on you. It's a big one-manner, look at how snazzy I am. Now, everyone else running on and off and doing the heavy, you know, other bits of heavy lifting is absolutely a part of it too. It's not a one-man show in that respect, but it's really on you. And it's your story. And the actor that was cast to play it originally, I think, just fell foul with the director, where they were never on the same page, because the original actor really understood this to be one of the great comedy texts. So as the director's going, now you stand there and these guys are going to come on with a donkey. And he's like, why?
Right.
You're just getting, I've got to link these three bits of plot in this scene. And while I'm doing that, these guys are just going to... And I kept saying to this other actor, yeah, but this director's, you know, incredible. He's very acclaimed. Like, it's his production. Like, you've got to kind of go with it. Anyway, when they parted company, the director asked me, with 10 days to go, will I learn Pseudolus?
With 10 days to go?
Wow.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That is a task. 10 days.
It was, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I was originally playing a different part. And so he said, you know, will you come and do it? He said, we will do literally anything in our power. You know, whatever you've got to do to get this in 10 days. He said, it's, you know, a feat unlike any other. You'd be mad to take it on, but, you know, could you?
Wow.
I was like, I'm on. And within 2 days, I was backstage rocking backwards and forwards going, oh my God, what am I into? So, yeah, I basically just went into a sort of like post-traumatic stress situation, or like just traumatic stress situation.
Yeah.
Like,
Current traumatic stress.
Yeah. And that's just what keeps happening, is that I keep going and doing shows that I really think are going to be the most incredible thing. And then when they're not, it just keeps breaking me.
Yeah.
And I'm now at the point where I'm having to sort of consider, can I keep doing this? Because it actually feels like it's a sort of Sisyphean test.
Yeah.
Like, how many times do you want to keep doing the same thing, expecting a different result? And how many times, each time you do it, is it going to hurt more? Because it already hurts enough.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how many more it's going to hurt. And maybe if there was something else I could do, maybe it'd be fun to kind of turn that corner and go like, well, I did the first half of my life like that, and now I did the next bit of it like this. But this is all I know how to do.
Yeah.
Come and improvise musicals. I mean, we never upstage each other at all. We're always completely respectful of the storytelling.
Do you guys know the original, we were talking about Comedy Tonight. That is not the original opening number to that musical. It was famously a massive flop in tryouts in Chicago because they had this beautiful song called Love is in the Air, da, da, da. And it was a light and pretty and, you know, a very Sondheim, like a very good song in a lot of ways. But it just didn't introduce funny thing happened on the way to the forum. And apparently it was when Jerome Kern was brought on as a consultant in the tryouts, and he said, just need a new opening number. You need to say, this is bawdy, this is silly, this is ridiculous. Everything you've been talking about, it's out with the tragedy for tonight, it's Comedy Tonight. Sondheim went away, wrote Comedy Tonight, and then the show was a massive success. Like, just on setting the expectations of what this evening is right at the beginning.
I mean, literally, the halfway through, it goes... Tragedy tomorrow, comedy tonight. It all takes place on a street in Rome around and about these three houses. First, the house of Erroneus, a befuddled old man. Like, literally, it is... He stands there and goes, these are the houses, these are who all the people are, this is how they know each other, this is the relationship between all of them. I'll be back in a minute. No, that's it.
Yeah.
So efficient.
It is efficient, but I tell you this, on almost every show I've done where there's been any devised part of it, that's been what we do.
Yeah.
Walk out, people want it, right? So I went and joined the circus. All of those things that I knew to be true from stand-up, from theatre, from musicals, I brought to bear at the circus. And they work everywhere. You know, big energy, welcome to the show, big, you know, just literally tell people, here's where you are, here's what's happening, it's going to be great, let's agree. This is a contrivance, the show and you, the audience, that we are going to decide to enjoy this. And you've got to get people on board and go, yeah, we are. But we all know, without that, you perform a comedy, a play, you're normally 20, 25 minutes in before people actually laugh.
Yeah.
It's a sort of sitting there and like cross your arms and like, well, let's see if it's any good, you know. It doesn't hurt to have a thing where it comes out at the beginning and go, right, everyone, face this way, strap in, stretch about, you know, a couple of deep breaths, off to the races. Who's ready for a lovely time? You've paid your money. It's going to be the same length, you know, whether you sit there miserable or not. So you may as well join in. And Shakespeare does it, you know.
One of our colleagues is currently actually writing a thesis on pretty much this subject. It's like how much of Shakespeare's plays originally were direct address to the audience, how much was actually improvised, how much of that sort of relationship was there, and obviously what's come down to us since is a sort of petrified version, if you like.
You've got to think it takes from the commedia tradition, right? Which was literally, as and when things weren't working, somebody would step forward and go, anyway, a bit of juggling. You know, never mind the love song. You're not going with that. Da, 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 da. You know, those were the latsies. So the thing that always drives me with Shakespeare is that is the man that wrote the play as the thing, right? Once you know that he started off as an actor, that's what I think changes Shakespeare, is he knows what it's like to stand there with something not working.
Yeah.
And when somebody's going, no, you've got to do it like that, you've got to do it like that, but it doesn't work, you know, you've got to do it like that. Shakespeare knows the play is the thing, right? You understand what it is, understand what you're doing and tell it well. But the play is the thing. If you're getting bogged down in, you know, I think most productions now of The Gatekeeper, in the Scottish play, I only say that because we're in a theatre. I'm not superstitious at all, but
our director is, so yes,
right, okay,
the Scottish play,
yes. But they change it and it's like stand up basically. You know,
did you see Tenants?
No,
but yeah. First thing the porter said when he came out, and that was, is Suella Braverman in, which gave a bit of a hint that this wasn't going to be wasn't going to be slavish to the text.
Yeah, I think they've just done it at the RSC and they had Stuart Lee rewrite all the Gatekeeper bit as well. Do you know why, by the way, the superstition about the Scottish play? Are we all familiar with this?
I know
There are theories, yes.
I know two theories.
One is that it would always sell well.
Yes. So it would often be the last show that a company did to try and stave off bankruptcy, but then often as not go bankrupt anyway. So that led to the sort of the opposite rumour that it was an unlucky show to do.
Oh, I see. No, I heard it was a bit more practical than that. But I mean, again, could be wrong, was just that there were a lot of people, because that was always on tour, because people would watch it and it would be very popular. You could mount a production of it very quickly and cheaply. So if you said it in the building, were you putting in a producer's ear that actually, don't mention it, because if the producer hears you, he'll go, actually, I don't think this is doing very well. We could have a production of that on in 2 weeks, so let's get rid of this.
Oh, amazing. Oh, I'd not heard that one.
No, I didn't know that one. Yeah.
What was your other one, Duncan?
It's the Astor Place riots. It's a fascinating story, and I'll try and give a very condensed version, but there were two rival productions of the Scottish play in New York at the same time, in the mid-19th century. One was a leading English actor and one was an Irish-American actor, and it basically kicked off a massive race riot with supporters of one Scottish king besieging the theatre of the other, and the army had to be called out to put it down. So it's one theory is that the idea is that it's unlucky. Dates from that Astor Place rides. The RSC did a play about it a while back at the Swan.
Oh, right.
It's really interesting.
And the most amazing segue, I can't really believe this has happened, because the game that we've got to play is actually taken from the Shakespeare game. We're going to extend it to musical theatre today.
Very good.
You're just going to answer these questions for me, and whoever gets the most cards wins.
Oh,
Do we buzz in?
You
Or is
do
it-
buzz in,
Okay.
yeah. Let's hear your buzzers. Andrew Pugsley?
Aha!
Oh, I like it. Got a bit of a party
Yeah.
Godfather edge.
Yeah.
Very nice. Duncan?
I'll go with
And Rufus? Oh, nice. Star Trek.
Little two-tone whistle there. Beautiful.
So you can answer from a play, a Shakespeare play, or a musical.
Okay.
Okay?
okay.
Name 3 characters from the same play.
Aha!
Andrew?
Elphaba, Glinda, Dr. Dillamond.
Very nice. The card is yours.
That was Wicked, the musical.
Explain how one character changes during a play. Rufus?
Macbeth dies.
That is the biggest change.
Ultimate change.
Absolutely right. Very good. Explain how one character tricks another. Rufus?
Like all of Puck puts magic potion in the eyes of the young lovers.
Very good. Recite a quote about magic. Andrew?
When I meet the wizard, my whole life will change.
I'm noticing a pattern
When I
here,
meet the
Andrew. Well done.
I've got Wicked on the brain.
Very good. Recite a quote about love. Rufus?
God is love, and whomsoever lives in love lives in God, and God lives in them.
Very nice.
It's not really from a play, though, is it? The
It's just improvised. Oh, it's the Bible. The old Big Book of B. Okay. Give an example of a conflict within a play or musical. Duncan?
the confrontation duet from Les Miserables.
Very good. One of our classic references on Showstopper courses. Check out the website. Detail the location or setting of a play or musical. Andrew?
Wicked the musical takes place in a fantasy kingdom called Oz, where there's an emerald city and magical beings coexist with humans.
Very good. That's true, isn't it? Yeah, when you limit yourself, sometimes it's easier, like you're saying earlier. Okay. Recite a quote from a female character. Andrew?
Something has changed.
Very good. Explain not using No One Mourns the Wicked.
What?
How a play or musical begins. Duncan.
Fiddler on the Roof starts with a direct address to the audience, which we were discussing earlier. Basically, exactly what you were describing. It's he just explains exactly where they are and what the themes of the show are going to be.
Very good. Okay, have a count up of your cards so far,
Which is
please.
a Jewish village in Russia.
I've got 4 cards so far.
Okay.
2.
3.
Okay, well, this is the decider.
Is it worth 3 then?
It's worth 3, yes.
Okay, great.
Okay, so give examples of 2 ways of dying within a Shakespeare play or musical. Rufus.
Self-stabbing and poisoning in Romeo and Juliet.
That's
Very
it,
good.
the game
Very
is
good.
over. Rufus Hound has won the game.
Come on. I wish I could have thought of something more defying gravity based, I'll be honest.
Well, I think we'd had just about enough of that.
I was going to
honest.
say a bucket of water. And
I was going to go for the Malmsey bus. For the Malmsey bus in Richard III, isn't it?
Oh, yes, yeah. Well, that was lovely. Would you like to do a song with us?
I'd love to.
I love magic. I
All
love
right,
magic.
lovely. The magic of something?
Human connection.
Oh, wow. Okay, deep.
You know, when you meet somebody and you just feel an affinity?
Sure.
You know, you could be walking down a street one day.
Sure, on the sidewalk.
Yeah, and you don't know which way you're going. You could be just tapping your feet one day, and then that someone appears who shows the way.
So I'll hold your hand and I'll pretend like I know what I'm doing.
Yeah,
That's okay.
I'll stand up really tall and straight, and I'll fight people if you need me to.
I know you would.
And I'll say, hey, she's walking here, when you are indeed walking there. And if that's okay, then I think we should keep doing it.
Yeah, for years. We should go on more trips to more places and see the whole world.
How do you feel about the beach?
I love the beach. I'll hold your hand when we're playing in the sand.
There'll be a bucket and a pail and a shovel, and I'll make a little castle for us to live in.
We could ski on the slopes, we could stand in the rain, but if your hand is there, I'll feel no pain. I'll hold your hand.
You'll hold my hand.
I'll hold your
yours
hand.
too.
I'll hold your hand, because there's a connection between us two.
I'll hold your hand.
We're safe to land.
I'll hold your hand.
Just us two.
The Showstopper podcast is hosted by Ali James and Andrew Pugsley. That's their names. This month's guest was me, Rufus Hound. I was here messing around with Duncan Walsh-Atkins on keys. Mixed and edited by Andrew Pugsley. He keeps it on the upside, it's never too ugly. Production support from Susanna Rosenthal, Jenny, Amy, Kaylin Kine, and Ellie Grice for something for weekend. Find us on your social channels and on our website, which is www.showstopperthemusical.com. Ooh. Thanks for listening.